Welcome once again, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Jack Omondi, and I am the co-champion together with Lara and Yuvodi at the Youth Power Learning Youth Power 2 Learning and Evaluations, Business Entrepreneurship and Private Sector Engagement Community of Practice. And our today's topic is a very interesting topic about how cooperatives can enhance or promote youth entrepreneurship across the world. And this will be presented by our amazing speakers who will be introduced to you by Lara after just in a short while. So before we proceed, I would like to share with you our agenda. Our agenda will be the introduction of the topic and also the community of practice. And after that, we will go straight to the discussion with our amazing speakers lined up for this discussion. And then we will have a question and answer. And finally, we will close the meeting. The webinar will take approximately 1 hour. So if you at any point might not get time to be within the 1 hour, then we will share the slides and the recordings later. At this point, let me introduce my colleague, Lara, to introduce the champions and also the topic. Welcome, Lara.
Thank you, Jack. It's a pleasure to be here. Ilvudi and others, please let me know if Yeral Castillo joins. He's our last speaker, and he will be speaking in Spanish. And if anybody else needs Spanish translation, we're going to be doing that in the chat. So just let us know in the chat. Déjanos saber si necesitan traducción para el español, y lo haremos en el chat. Okay. So I'm Lara Goldmark, CEO of Just Results and co-champion with Jack and Ilvudi of this community of practice. Our community of practice, for those of you who don't know us, is called BEPSE, Business, Entrepreneurship, and Private Sector Engagement. And over the past few years, we've been exploring related topics, how to combine youth empowerment, positive youth development with entrepreneurship, with business, with income generating opportunities, with career opportunities. And this is how you can join the discussion group online. Thanks. So today we're talking about the cooperative model, and we have a great speaker lineup. I'm going to introduce all of our speakers right now briefly, and then we'll have the first speaker go, who is Justin. So Justin is based right here in Washington, D.C. We're really happy to have a United States-based speaker along with our international speakers. He represents something called Crowd Work Cooperative. And through that cooperative, he works with his own company, J&F Digital, which is an IT firm. And they also have a newsletter. If you're interested in knowing more about it, Justin, definitely sign us up at Just Results. We'd like to get your newsletter. So we'll hear from Justin first. And then we'll have Kiran Katel. And Kiran represents the Nepal Multipurpose Cooperative Society. She is based in Nepal. It is evening for her right now. Thank you for being on so late, Kiran. Her cooperative implements a number of activities with youth, and she's going to tell us about those. She also represents the International Cooperative on Youth Cooperation. So she's sort of like a youth ambassador. And we're pleased to meet her and to have her with us today. Thanks. So we also have with us today Susan Lamisi, who I think is just joining now. I know she was finishing up a meeting. Susan is the gender coordinator for Fair Trade Africa. Her portfolio spans across 33 countries. She is going to talk about the work that they do and how they support cooperatives who produce fair trade products. And she's got with her 2 young people that represent, that can sort of help us understand how Fair Trade Africa has affected their lives. And one of them is Dora. Here she is. Dora Atiga. Welcome, Dora. Dora comes to us after participating in the Women's School of Leadership associated with NORAD. NORAD was a project supported by the Norwegian Overseas Assistance. And she has initiated a project with a women's group for income generation and is a Fair Trade Youth Ambassador. And then we also have Jamor. So I learned how to pronounce Jamor's name. He is Ghanaian. He's a member of the Asafuno North Municipal Cooperative Cocoa Farmers and Marketing Union, and has taken, he's a graduate of the Young Cooperative Managers Academy that is operated by Fairtrade under the NORAD project in Ghana. So Jamor is also going to talk to us about how these activities with youth and with entrepreneurship have touched his life. And then our last speaker is Yeral Castillo. And Yeral is 24 years old. He is a very interesting entrepreneur who actually provides services to cooperatives. So he helps cooperatives with strategic storytelling. And he got involved in this through a cooperative that he had joined for photography, and also through the Cooperative Business Marketing School that is run by NCBA CLUSA in Peru. And CLUSA has actually been expanding that to other countries, including Guatemala. So we will hear from Yeral last, and Yeral will be speaking in Spanish, and we will provide translation. So we've got a huge speaker lineup. We're going to hope to have a few minutes for questions or comments. Do go ahead and ask questions in the chat. We have Ovodi and Jack moderating the discussion. They're going to keep each speaker to 5 minutes. They're going to integrate questions. They're going to ask the speakers questions. So get your questions in, and they can either take your question instead of the question they had prepared, or add your question to the questions that are being asked to speakers. So thank you again for being with us, everybody. And Jack, I'm going to pass you off to kick it off and give the microphone, so to speak, to Justin. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lara, for that wonderful introductions and introducing our amazing speakers. And our first speaker will be Justin. And Justin, I would like to know, given your work at your crowd's work and how you have been working with the young people, how do you see cooperative models empowering the young people to face the various entrepreneurship challenges that they encounter?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I would start by saying Washington, D.C. in the U.S. does have a great track record of promoting and encouraging entrepreneurship. And there are a ton of resources and support systems for starting new business ventures. But as many new small business owners come to find out, there isn't much help to keep them alive. So hiring employees costs a lot of money. And if you don't qualify for a personal or a business loan, you can't afford to pay someone else to work for you. And at the same time, you can't afford to sell your product or service for as low as an existing business that has already reached economies of scale, or has most of their actual work done overseas where it's much cheaper, or even operating at a loss to fend off the competition. The prospect of you surviving off your own business is pretty low. And I'll add that when you have your own business, you have to do everything for it. So, you know, your marketing, your sales, your registrations, your licensing, your legal, your accounting, you know, the list goes on. And unless you have enough money to pay someone else to do things immediately for you, which is really daunting for young entrepreneurs, and I imagine any entrepreneur, but especially young entrepreneurs that are just starting to navigate the space. So with a co-op, you can lean on other members to do things that don't play to your strengths or interests, and vice versa, they can do the same. So that greatly reduces the cost of doing business, since you're spreading out the workload and you're all chipping in for the different costs that come with running a business. So starting a business comes with a lot of other challenges, like the insurance and licensing and having to find customers and those things that I mentioned before. But with CrowdWorks' cooperative approach, which is where I'm part of, the co-op that I'm part of, we pool resources and expertise to navigate those hurdles more effectively. So we're actually a multi-generational co-op, and we offer young entrepreneurs the opportunity to bring their fresh perspectives to the table, while also being able to leverage the experience of those who've been in the workforce for years, which is a great combination. You want that intergenerational exposure. And adding to that, the peer mentorship and moral support are also huge benefits that the co-op offers, especially given today's levels of loneliness and atomization, which can be pronounced for a younger entrepreneur. Members can learn from the experience of other members that may have gone through or are going through the same things in their entrepreneurial journeys or business ventures. So CrowdWork helps reduce a lot of those costs of doing business, and helps members gain access to a larger network of contacts, collaborators, customers, and allows them to tap into other skill sets without having to hire someone else first. And with our democratic decision-making protocol called Sociocracy, we help foster early leadership skills that you wouldn't have working on your own. It also offers a sandbox for testing out your services faster and with less risk than doing it on your own. So I would say by joining a co-op, you do have to give up some power, which we might not all be willing to do, but you have to be willing to empower and trust the people around you. And in the end, I've definitely personally found that to be well worth it. Working with a larger team often leads to larger contracts that you can win, you wouldn't be able to win on your own. And that often leads to more revenue as well. So the way I really see it is that a smaller slice of a bigger pie is still more than a big slice of a small pie. And so many of us at Crowdwork still actually have our own businesses individually, as Lara mentioned, where we can keep full control and freedom and our little fiefdom or whatnot. But we also tap into the co-op for a lot of different advantages. So I'll lastly say, as part of a co-op, each person sees the other not as a competitor or a liability or cost, but as an asset and a value add, which is a big difference from traditional business. And I think that mindset will help young entrepreneurs change our economy for the better and help grow the pie for everyone, not just a select few. So please reach out if you have any questions or want to learn more, or find us on our website, crowdwork.coop. And thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Frank. And I really, Justin, and I really got one takeaway from you, that cooperatives really give young people a chance to exercise their talents, and also offer intergenerational kind of platform where they can learn from the older generation, which sometimes is not given to in the other traditional kind of spaces. Thank you for that, for those wonderful remarks and points. My next speaker will be Kiran. And Kiran, I really would like to know your experience as a young member of Nepal Multipurpose Cooperative. What is your experience, and how would you encourage a young person who is in this platform and would like to join a cooperative in his or her own country?
Okay. First of all, thank you, Jack. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Thank you for joining this webinar. I'm Kiran Patel. My introduction was already given greatly by Ms. Lara. So first of all, I would like to give a short insight of where I come from, or the Nepal Multipurpose Cooperative Society, which is also denoted as NMC CoP. NMC CoP was established on 8 March 1994 AD. The foremost objective of our CoP was, during its establishment, was just to collect and protect the scattered money in the society. Back then, there were hardly any financial institutions that performed door-to-door activities for collection purpose. And in the initial phase, NMC CoP of today was established to eradicate such financial problems. The intention was pure enough to move forward, and hence never hesitated to learn more each passing day. NMC CoP also took into consideration the importance of cooperative values, beliefs, principles, and implemented all of them practically in our cooperative to make it NMC CoP of today. So now we have been serving gradually. We have been expanding the CoP into 5 different sectors, which are NMC Saving and Credit Corporate, Saving and Credit Business, Dairy Business, NMC CoP Shop, Agro Business, and last but not least, the tea business. We have been serving more than 150,000 active members from 3 different districts of Eastern Nepal. More than 1,500 youths have been directly benefited through the employment opportunity delivered by NMC CoP so far. And we have been organizing a lot of training programs in every sectors, which are in alignment with the social responsibility actions towards its member. And when it comes to youth, it's even more sensitive. We have a separate committee that plans, manages, and coordinates the youth-based programs. This unit of the body consists of the youth members of NMC CoP and awareness about problems like drug abuse and cybercrime, reusable sanitary pad production training, tree plantation, blood donation, and some vocational trainings are the activities that have been done by the youth committee. And we started forming student saving clubs, which is the most important thing I would like to discuss with you today. We started forming these student saving clubs in schools from 2016 AD. The main purpose of establishing the club was to develop the saving habits among the students in the school by forming groups in each school named as student saving club. And it has helped to develop teamwork by involving them in extracurricular activities, enhancing financial awareness, and promoting saving habits by cutting off unnecessary expenditures. By July 2023, we have been running 86 student saving clubs with 5,037 students having a saving balance of more than 3.5 million Nepali rupees, and participations of students is massively accelerating. We offer this specially designed student saving account introduced with the objective of developing the banking habits among the students, and NMC CoP has been doing a lot of vital programs that focus on students, and we have plans for upcoming days as well. So it helps in building the positive attitude and relationships among students, thus creating a learning environment or the community in which the diversity is valued. This program has many benefits to the cooperative organization as well, and involved students, school, and the whole community. Some of the positive aspects of student saving clubs are the active participation of students, enhancement in socio-cultural activities, development of saving habits among students, financial awareness introduced in the school level, succeed in leadership development, and supportive for the future trip. Entrepreneurial encouragement among students is also there, and not last but not the least, the contribution in enlargement of organizations capital. In context of country like Nepal, Jack, youths are seen as very immature and inexperienced, and they are not properly listened to or trusted in such conditions. Through several studies and inquiry with the youths, with the students, result I found was a little miserable. There are chances of misguidance as well. So students must be guided with proper plan and vision for the perfection in their lifestyle. In conclusion, there is a great need to hold their hands and work to overcome their weakness by working together in the cooperative way. NMC thus is trying its utmost to create a positive or a significant impact among the young minds. And on the ground of student saving clubs of our organization, numerous problems being faced by the youths in the community and country, and previous activities among youths by our organization, we have now come up with the concept of college student society, which is a fresh and an emerging concept, particularly concentrated in college level students. Active participation of youths in the club can definitely enhance their knowledge, team working skills, potentiality, and creativity through involvement in different kinds of training programs facilitated by us, by experts, may it be on personal finance, financial freedom, cooperative entrepreneurship, management and accounting skills, trainings, and informing terms like sustainable development goals, highlighting the problem and solution faced by the youths in the present context. So hope this gains the same attraction and create even more positive impact to the targeted youth and the whole community. So I would also like to add that youths are not just the future of the nation, but they are also the present. Thank you, Zach. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Kiran. And you've mentioned so many things that are so dear to my heart. And one or two things that I heard from your presentation is that you foster students to save. And this is something that when I was in my undergraduate or high school, I was never exposed to such things. And I think for a young person who is in this webinar, or a youth, a professional, would really take such things home so that they help young people to start that saving culture at a tender age. And I think I really like that concept. So thank you so much. And if you have any question, our audience, if you have any question, please type them in the chat, and our able speakers like Kiran will definitely answer your questions. Our next speaker is Susan. I think Susan is here from Fair Trade, and Fair Trade is doing a lot of great work in Africa. of course, Africa, but also in the entire globe. But specifically in Africa, they are doing great work, which I would like to ask Susan, and the introduction had been done before by Lara. Susan, please, can you give us an overview of what fair trade does in Africa and how it aligns with the cooperative model? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Really appreciate. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to be in this particular forum. I just want to say that we are really delighted to be here together with some of our producers in this particular platform. So I just want to briefly give you a highlight of what Fair Trade does. Fair Trade Africa works across Africa. We work across 33 countries in Africa. We support 628 producers and with 1.38 million farmers. So, and these particular farmers are organized in cooperatives, and others we work with them under hired labor. That is for the big plantations. Then they work in what we refer to as hired labor. And then what anchors our work are the fair trade standards, that all these producers who are under Fair Trade Africa, they are fair trade certified because they have subscribed to the fair trade standards and they are audited against those standards. So we work with producer organizations across different products. We have like 14 value chains, key value chains. There are other smaller products that we don't deal with. We have wine, we have tea, we have flowers, we have fruits, we have spices, and so forth. So all this we work with the producers across the value chain, that is from production all the way to the end user of the product. And so one thing that we do is to support the producers get compliant with the fair trade standards. Within the fair trade standards, there are certain things that are very critical to us, and that is that whatever is produced has to be done in the very fairest terms so that the producers are not exploited at all. And by doing so, we have certain regulations that they need to follow. For instance, some core issues like there should be no discrimination. There is zero tolerance to harassment of any manner. If somebody is being hired, for instance, issues to do with like testing for pregnancies and, you know, the HIV and such, like, they are not supposed to be done. So that fairness. And of course, in Fair Trade Africa, we look for, as far as it's possible, ensure that we are moving towards gender equality so that each person has got a voice at the end of the day, and they can be able to, you know, if it is producing, if it is selling their products on very fair terms. Now, something else that is important is the kind of approaches that we use to support our producers and looking at their needs. You know, like having done assessments, we realized that most of our producers then we need support in terms of capacity building. So we have initiatives such as the Women's School of Leadership that is there to empower the women, of course, has also embodied men to support the women so that the women can be lifted up in whatever they are doing. And this is a model that started with actually the cooperatives in West Africa, and it has worked so well. We are now rolling it out to other countries and even within the hired labor. And we have seen producers rise, get the confidence to even rise into positions. And that is what some of our producers here will be able to testify. At the end of the day, we have the Young Cooperative Managers Academy, we have the Fair Trade Ambassadors, we have farmers field schools that we use to support these producers, so that at the end of the day, they have the best initiatives to be able to navigate the terrain. However difficult it may be, we are there to push on them. So Fair Trade Africa looks for fairness at the all costs. And at the end of the day, we want the producer to have the dignity, to have the voice, to be able to even make decisions for themselves. And that is why we will look at even the vulnerable groups. We have policies in place that support this, so that even the vulnerable groups, the disability, those who are persons with disability, or with other vulnerabilities, they also have space, and they can be able to exercise their rights. They can be able to do their operations because they are they're in fair trade. So thank you. That is the brief that I would want to give as far as fair trade is concerned. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Susan, for that great overview of the fair trade and the initiatives that you are doing in Africa in terms of cooperatives and even uplifting women, people with disabilities, and even the vulnerable in our community. And I was very much pleased with, of course, I didn't get much details, but I think even our viewers will ask you this, how the Women's School of Leadership works. You mentioned something about the Young Cooperative Academy, and I know a lot will ask, but maybe that will come up in the Q&A session. For now, I would like to welcome Dora Atija. The slides, we have them. Dora Atija was a member of the Women School of Leadership that Susan has just mentioned, and she's here to give us her opinion or her experience about the cooperative and how she learned from the Women's School of Leadership run by or managed by Fairtrade. Welcome, Dora. Is she in?
And I'd want to check. Yeah. Dora, are you in?
Let me confirm. But
okay.
she, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know whether unless she has connection issues, because West Africa, we really have a challenge when it comes to connectivity. Yeah. But I've seen Jomo is in. Oh, Jomo, so maybe as we check on Dora, we could extend the invitation to Jomo.
Yes, if Jomo is in, or Jomo is also part of the Fair Trade Africa, beneficiary of that group. So he will be able to give us their experience, first-hand experience of how Fair Trade is promoting cooperative models in Africa. Jomo, welcome. Are you on mute?
Unmute, Jomo. I think he has sound challenges.
Yes.
Maybe he can. Jomo, yeah. I don't know whether you can get out and rejoin. Because we can't hear you at all.
Yes, Susan, I really wanted to understand now that Jomo is coming back, how the Young Cooperative Academy works, because this now speaks to the topic that we're discussing today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know Jomo will talk more about that, but what the Young Cooperatives Managers Academy does is to empower the young people with various skills so that they can be able to rise up to the occasion and take up their rightful positions. You will realize that within the agricultural space, we have the aging farmers, And we realized in Fair Trade Africa that it is time that we begin to empower the young people and see how we can have conversations even with the older farmers, how they can then be able to transfer knowledge to these young ones, so that we do not have these very, very good initiatives just ending with the elderly. The young people are very, very vital in terms of even using technology, for instance, which the old people are not. And so the Young Managers Academy puts the young people together, and they're able to be taken through many different modules that empower them and skill them at the end of the day, as you will hear from Jomo.
Good
Thank
afternoon,
you so
everyone.
much for that. Oh, Jomo, you're back. Welcome and proceed.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jumo Buahen. I am 32 years old. I am a farmer and a member of Asnafunof Cocoa Farmers Cooperative Union. I am a graduate of Young Cooperative Managers Academy, a component of NORAD project. Through Fair Trade, I was enrolled. I am gender advocate. I am Fair Trade Ambassador and also Society Manager in my cooperative. Fair Trade is a life-changing organization because since I made Fair Trade, my life has never been the same because my leadership skills has been improved. As I said earlier on, I am a manager in my cooperative. It was very difficult for me to manage the cooperative, especially during decision making and conflict management. But now, based on the training I received, I can now manage my cooperative very well and also manage conflict when it comes. My confidence level has been built. I have high self-esteem. Every year, my union gives award to farmers who do well in the cooperatives. But because I do not have the I can do spirit to contest for that award, I've never thought of contesting for such an award. But after I went through a series of trainings, I decided to contest for a Best Farmer Award. So last year, I picked a form to contest for that award. And as we are speaking now, I've won the Best Youth Male Farmer of the Year 2022. Let's now talk about job opportunity. Initially, I was only dependent on the proceed I get from my cocoa farm. And even how to manage the fund was very difficult for me. But because of the training I've been receiving, I was taught that I shouldn't only depend on the proceeds I get from my cocoa farm. I should find another way of getting income to support me. So I decided to go into piggery and plantain farming. As we are speaking now, I have different sources of getting income, and it is helping me a lot. Let's talk about human empowerment. As gender advocate, after I went through a series of training, I decided to gather women around to train them on human rights and rights specific to women. Culturally, in my community, women are not allowed to own properties. But after I taught them about human rights and rights specific to women, in fact, many of my women or the women I am training have started their own business. I have 95 women and all of them have bank accounts. 2 of them have been able to retrieve their properties from their family members and they are now managing them themselves. Again, let's come to community development. Because we sell our cocoa beans on fair trade terms, our buyers give us extra income or extra money apart from the actual cocoa price, which is bought by the government, of which we term it as bonus. And our union use some part of this premium to buy agrochemicals for us. They also give part of the premium to us as a cash bonus. In fact, after cocoa seasons, farmers find it difficult to live because those seasons, life for farmers is very difficult. But because of the premium our buyers give to us, we use some part of the premium as a cash bonus and we use it to take care of our family. When you come into community development, we use some part of this premium to develop our communities. In fact, in my community, access to potable water was very difficult for us. But now we can boast of potable water because of this premium we receive from our buyers. We use some of the premiums to also build infrastructures like school blocks, hospitals, nurses' quarters. In fact, if you come to some of our villages, nurses find it difficult to stay in that villages. But because you have used some of the premiums to build nurses' quarters for our nurses, they are now staying there and they are taking care of us. Let's talk about education support. Use this part of the premium to support children or students whose parents don't have the capacity to take care of them educationally. As we are speaking now, in our community, there is a school there which is named Wachesia Community Basic School. Last 2 weeks, we have donated 800 exercise books to the school for them to give to the students who can't afford them. We are also supporting students who are in the tertiary level, all because of the premium we receive from our buyers. In fact, I have a lot to say, but because of time, I'll end here. The only thing I can say is that Fair Trade is a life-changing organization. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Jomo. First of all, congratulations for your Best Female Farmer Award. I think as a budding farmer, I will have to get some ideas from you now to win this award in my country, Kenya, and so that I can inspire the rest of the young people. And you mentioned a lot of evidence-based practices that have really empowered people in your community, especially the women. And one important thing that you mentioned is bridging the barrier or removing the barrier of land ownership or just ownership of property for women. And this, through the training that you have done, you did, this was a very inspiring story through fair trade. From this, I am sure that fair trade does a lot. So thank you so much for that great story and presentation. If you have a question if you have questions, our audience, please put them in the chat, and then they will be answered after the end of this discussion. Is Jomo back? Not Jomo, but Dora. Is Dora able to speak as a former Oracle, a former student of Women's School of Leadership, run by Fair Trade?
She's there.
Okay. Dora?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm very sorry at first because I had little network issues. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Continue.
Yeah, my name is Dora Atega. I am 30 years old. I am a cocoa farmer and a member of Cocoa Fair Trade Cooperative and a graduate of Fair Trade Africa Women's School of Leadership and also a Fair Trade Youth Ambassador. Yeah, before joining Fair Trade through Women's School of Leadership, I had little interest in farming because previously I was understood that farming was made for the illiterate. So I had little interest. But after joining Fair Trade through Women's School of Leadership, I realized I can have a farm of my own apart from my husband's own. So I now have a farm that I am making money from. And apart from having a farm, I also started a food business that I'm also making money from. So now I'm able to contribute in my house caretaking, because at first I could not add anything in our house upkeeping. I totally depend on my husband. But through the training and coaching sessions, I'm now an independent woman because I gain money too. Yeah, and also through our trainings and coaching sessions, I realized that I am capable of starting a school in my community since there was no school for small kids, leaving parents with no choice or option than to send them to their various farms. Others are left in their house, others on the street, putting the safety of all these children in a very dangerous position. So I decided to start a school for small kids, which I now have over 100 students, and it's very encouraging. Yeah, with the knowledge also gained on managing a project through our leadership school, I am able to manage this school with over 100 kids and 4 staff free of charge. They are not paying anything for it for now. Maybe if there will be any payments, that will be later on. But for now, it is free of charge, which I am so happy and proud of, because at first I could not even take care of my own self, but now at least I'm taking care of others in one way or the other. So I am so happy about that. Yeah, and not also forgetting to talk about my self-confidence. Before joining Fair Trade, in fact, I could not talk in front of many people, or I could not even say my opinion. I want to say it, but I feel shy to open my mouth. But through our coaching sessions, community sensitizations programs, I am now able to talk, teach my colleague women. I am even able to organize a group of 20 women in my community that I am training and teaching them with whatever that I learned from the Women's School of Leadership that they are also happy about. We also have plans of starting a business together in the future if things come possible. Yeah, not also forgetting to talk about my cooperative. As Jumo earlier said, he mentioned premium, so I'll not talk much on premium, but my cooperative are doing much with the premiums money that we get from fair trade. We are doing numerous work across all 29 communities in my district that we are operating with, like building health facilities such as maternity wards, to ease safe delivery and easy access to hospitals, and also weighing centers for mothers to take their small kids to check on their children's growth and all that. Boreholes, and for instance, in my community, teachers' quarters for teachers, because teachers in my community find it very difficult to stay there because there are limited rooms for them. So my community, we have teachers' quarters for teachers. That is also very encouraging. And also village savings and social savings. Yeah, down here, it is very difficult to save because our monies we get are not enough. So we find it difficult to go to the bank always to save maybe 100 cedis or 20 cedis. But because of the village and social savings and limiters, every weekend we meet, we save the little we have. At the end of the year, you gather it and it will be something big. So we have over 100 groups of village social savings and limiters. Yeah, I am very proud and honored to be given this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dora. And those were some very inspiring remarks. And one of them being that through the Women's School of Leadership, you were empowered and became independent so that you could be able to support your family, but also support or contribute to the well-being or the development of the community. That was a very, very great takeaway point I got from you. And also that you are you thought initially that that farming was for the illiterate, and through the School of Leadership that is run by Fair Trade Africa, you are able to understand that farming also has a lot of opportunities. Thank you for that. And we are now heading into our question and answer session. And I see only one question in the chat. Please feel free to type in your question. But I have a question for Justin in maybe 1 minute or two. Justin, how do you think cooperatives can be incorporated into learning institutions? Because this is an area that you find cooperatives are not part of the curricula. So young people are not exposed to this model at the tender age. How do you think we should bridge this barrier and ensure that cooperative models are introduced to young people at learning institutions?
Justin,
you're mute. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, thanks for the question. I think that's a great, I guess, segue as we think about the future of education, and we think about all the opportunities that, at least I see them as opportunities where our traditional business models have kind of failed most of us, I would say, in society, and we're all looking for different ways to do things. So I would say that being able to have more partnerships with academic institutions is really important, because then we can expose them to the cooperative model, which they, I don't think they're nefariously, holding it from anyone. I think that there is probably just a lack of them knowing that it exists, because it's not really taught anywhere. So the teachers weren't taught about those models in the first place. Then we have to get, be able to expose the teachers to that knowledge. So I have heard of some different groups going to academic institutions and introducing curriculum that they can provide for their students and integrate that into their lessons, and also into business schools. I think would be a great, great way to be able to start exposing them to that. Maybe offering workshops and training sessions to prepare students for the workplace. And right now, a lot of the programs are really focused on the traditional way of profit-oriented models. And then there's the other siloed approach of, then you care, on the other side, you care about the world and the environment and people. And we need to help build a bridge between those worlds, because just because you do business and you want to do business doesn't mean that you're against those other things, and that you don't care about people and you don't want to, work with other people in a more cooperative way. So I think having opportunities like that would be tremendously powerful, and give employers also, getting employers to share their experiences that already work in co-ops, I think would be valuable as well, to just give a pathway to, if someone's looking for a career, that, a co-op might be a place where they can find a happy career.
Thank you so much for that wonderful answer. We also have a question for Jowar, and just the question. Jowar, if you're there, somebody is asking, for this asking, what do you mean by young cooperative graduates? Could you share more insight about this training?
Right.
In 1 minute.
Okay, this training is a component of the Nodal project. Their objective is to identify young farmers and train them.
Okay.
And train them on fair trade terms, and also human rights and other things.
Yeah, that's a very great answer. So the training is about fair trade principles, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, thank you so much. And also a question to fair trade, but this might be for Suzanne. Somebody is interested about Fair Trade Africa and how to join Fair Trade Africa in Nigeria as a young person, but also could you expound more on Women's School of Leadership? How long is the training and what are the modules? In 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would want to say that this Women's School of Leadership, just like also the Young Cooperatives Managers Academy, we take them through 10 modules, different topics that range from leadership all the way to entrepreneurship. And they run for a period of 10 months. And then at the end of whoever has completed, then is able to graduate. And when they graduate, they go out in the field. We are able to assess what they are doing. In fact, they are also given seed capital to get to start some enterprise. And we follow them to see whether what they are doing, is it sustainable? So they'll have been taken through business, developing a business plan, and then they are given seed capital to execute it. Now, for the person asking about Nigeria, whether you can be able to join fair trade. Fair trade is really open. The only caveat is that you have to be fair, you have to be compliant. So we have the fair trade standards, which are there, even in the website you can check. And so whatever you are producing has to be produced on the fair trade terms. So the fair production, the human rights aspects have to be taken care of, the environmental due diligence issues, and so forth. So those are the things, that is the catchword, the fair trade standards, because you have to be audited by them. And that is why if even the cooperatives that are fair trade certified, if they have non-compliance, actually they are decertified until they become compliant, and then they are accepted back. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I guess the person who has, I think it's from Jen or somebody, I'm not sure who, but maybe Yoshi can also go into your website for more information, or even reach out to you
Yes.
if you allow that.
I can put in my email. Thank you.
Yes, yes. I have one question for Kiran. Kiran, would you please let us know some of the challenges you faced with the student savings in Nepal? In 1 minute, somebody would really like to know some of the challenges we're facing in Nepal. Kiran.
So thank you for the question. Zad. Yeah, if there are any opportunities or strength, there are absolutely the challenges or the threats. We have also come to some of the challenges in the beginning. It was, first of all, it was a very new concept to us. It was a very new concept that developed by us to go to the schools and ask them or monitor them or give them the orientation on developing the saving habits from the school level itself. It was really hard to convince in the beginning, but then we also invited the parents of the students and we gave the orientation. We provided various trainings, and we also said them the benefits of why to involve in the clubs. So the first and the foremost challenge was to convince them to get involved. And yeah, that was the main challenge. And when it went from school to school, it went fluently, and now the demand is increasing in other schools as well. Thank you.
Much.
I think.
Thank you. Yeah, you really answered it so well. The challenges you faced. And there are a lot of questions in the chat that we might not answer now because of time, but we will continue with this discussion on the Youth Power Learning platform, where you can register, and I think Yuvodi will elaborate that further, how you can also be part of the discussion, this vibrant discussion that here will continue in those platforms. So thank you so much, our speakers, for taking finding time to come and speak to us about this topic. I've been inspired a lot, and I know our audience has also been inspired from savings account to Justin's story. Now you can bridge the gap from the move from the traditional model to cooperative model to fair trade, and how the wonderful work they're doing in Africa, and also the Jowar and Dora. Their wonderful stories really impressed me, but also I think also impressed our audience. So at this moment, I would like to welcome Yuvodi to wrap up the session. Welcome, Yuvodi.
Hi, everyone. Wait. Hi, everyone. So I will be repeating again what Jack said. I would love to thank our speakers for their contribution in sharing the work that they are doing through different organizations such as Crowdwork, Nepal Multipurpose Cooperative, and Fair Trade. And it's also been very refreshing to hear directly from Dora and Jamar as young entrepreneurs who benefited from these initiatives. So it only shows that cooperatives as an important place within young entrepreneurship. And I also want to thank each participant for engaging in this discussion and for your interest also in this programs webinar. And we're looking forward to see you again in our next webinar that we will have in the coming month. And stay tuned, and we will reach out to give further details to the webinar. Thank you everyone for your participation. And again, thanks to our wonderful speakers. Bye everyone.